Hello, just Jem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. I thought it was about time that I went back and did another what do I think about it now type video. I've done some first impressions on quite a few products over the last few months, so it's time to revisit them and let you know, have my first impressions changed? Have they gone down? Have they gone up? What am I enjoying? What am I reaching for? So I'm going way back, cast your mind back, and I'm going to, I'll do these together because they're kind of a bit of a duo. The duo in question, Culturals and Neutrals, both from Cosmic Brushes / Cosmic Beauty. Basically, I think from now on I'm just going to refer to them as Cosmic Beauty, because while I know that they were originally Cosmic Brushes, I think they're leaning more towards Cosmic Beauty, so I'm just going to call them Cosmic Beauty from now on. Just makes life easier, I think. I had tried these just before my last What Do I Think About It Now video, but I didn't include them because I hadn't used them enough. But I have now, I've had them for quite some time. I automatically thought, looking at these two palettes, without a shadow in my mind, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, I assumed that Culturals would be my favourite. And probably at the time I purchased it, Culturals was indeed my favourite. However, probably because of its wearability, and I kind of hate that term when people say wearability, I mean, they're all wearable, that's the whole point, it's eyeshadow, you put it on your face. But I do understand that there are perhaps some tones and some colours that are more suited perhaps to everyday wear. And not that I ever thought Neutrals was boring, far from it. I think it's a beautiful palette. And I have found myself gravitating more to Neutrals than I have Culturals, which is, yeah. It's a shock to me, I'm not going to lie. I did think I'd be reaching more for that, but I have been reaching more for this. This one, should I switch them round? Because I feel like the colour is better on this side. Let's see. I went away on holiday and I took Neutrals with me. I just thought that this was something that I could create a nice, simple daytime look, and I could maybe go in with an extra shimmer or a darker shade and maybe darken the V or add a bit more vum with a shimmer. And I think that's why I ended up taking Neutrals with me, and that's probably why I reach for Neutrals more than I do Culturals. Would I say it's more versatile? In a way, I think so, because of the fact you can get like your daytime looks and you can transition into a lovely evening look. And I just love the tones in here, so yeah. Much to my surprise, I'm reaching for Neutrals more. When it comes to the formula, both palettes are a pleasure to work with. I think the mattes blend beautifully. The shimmer formula in Cosmic and some of the duochromes and the multi-chromes that they put inside their palettes are just stunning. They're really beautiful. I think Cosmic Beauty, their formula, is high up there when it comes to indie brands on the market at the moment, especially for the price point. The more recent launches from Cosmic Beauty have included like more shimmers and more special shades, so the price point has gone up to reflect that, but it's still exceptionally reasonable. I mean, it's £28, you get 20 shadows in there, and the quality is just, yeah, it's up there. So definitely loving Culturals and Neutrals, and I think I'll get a lot of use out of both of them. Neutrals especially, I think, just because it's one of those palettes that's just very everyday and wearable. While we're here and we're discussing Cosmic Beauty, I might as well mention Undergrowth. So this is the latest release from Cosmic. I think the colours show better there. That's the latest release, and I thought let me just put them all together. So as you can imagine, I've not used this as much as I've used Neutrals and Culturals, and colour story wise, it's not earth-shattering. I've done a whole video on this because, I mean, Earthy has done it, and it's very similar vibes to the Yucca palette that Natasha Denona did, and there's other palettes I think that have got like this earthy, grungy, greeny tone to it. But I think the thing that sets this palette apart, again, would have to be the formula. I must say though, I have found the mattes in here to be a bit on the drier side. I like just this week I used Serenity, and that was more in keeping with the mattes that's in Coulterals and Neutrals. I mean, maybe it's just this particular palette, I don't know, but I have found the mattes in here have seemed to be just ever so slightly drier. No impact on the performance, still performs beautifully, but that is definitely something I've noticed. And I mean, it's the end of the day now, so I might as well, but like Fireflies, there's just, I love that shade, Fireflies. And then Undergrowth is pretty cool as well. Undergrowth, yeah, so that's what sets it apart, I think, from all the palettes that I've come across that has a similar colour story. It's shades like Undergrowth, Fireflies, and maybe, and even like Wilderness, and even I mean, all the shimmers really are just, this is fungi. Yeah, there's just something about the shimmers. Still want to use that a bit more, but based on the formula alone, that's up there. Still rate this palette. I'm still of the mind that if you have Earthy, you don't need this, and it will come down to, I think, your formula preference as to whether or not you should pick this up. So that's my thoughts on the Cosmic palettes that I have tried more recently. Botanicals. It's been a while. So this, I actually used this quite a lot when I first got it. It doesn't look like it. Maybe I've got a very delicate hand. So this is Botanical, and this is one of the limited edition Beauty Bay palettes that they do, one of the 20 pan palettes, looking rather washed out in my camera there. I really like this. I like the colour story, but I think that would they make quite good companion palettes? I reckon so. I think so. You could have a bit of a crossover there. Artichoke kind of reminds me a little bit of Undergrowth. Bit lighter, bit kind of a brighter green. Yeah, so the Undergrowth is definitely more grungy, and then you've got Artichoke there, which is a much brighter green. I still rate Botanical. I really enjoyed that. This shade, Waterfall, is absolutely not going to focus on my finger because why would it? But that's the shade Waterfall. So in the pan it looks bluey silver, and then you swatch it and it's this goldy shifty shade. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's beautiful. I love it. Was Lightning one of the other shades that I really enjoyed from here? So Lightning almost looks on your finger how you would think Waterfall might swatch, but that's far more silver. I mean, I'll do the same thing. I'll put the brands together. See, I wasn't going to do Celestial Charms until the end, but seeing as I've delved into Beauty Bay, let's jump into Celestial Charms. I do actually have Celestial Charms on my eyes right now. I might zoom you in for this because it would be a good idea to show you longevity. You'll have to be patient with me though because I'm wearing my glasses today, so now I can't see. But I think I'm focused, so I'll just close my eyes so you can see. I think I put these shadows on between 9 and 9:30 this morning, yeah, because we left the house about 10. So I've been out all day, and this is the makeup I've been wearing all day. And I want to say the shades I've put on my eyes are Prophecy. I think I mentioned Solstice. So in the pan, it's got like a bit of a shine to it. Is it going to focus? I don't know if that's focused because I'm not wearing my glasses. I think it might be. But when I swatched Solstice, I mentioned that it was a very dry shimmer. It's dry because it's not a shimmer, it's a matte that's got shimmer particles in it. I do have that on today. That's kind of on my outer corner. So it was actually when I used it, I realised, oh, that's not a shimmer shade at all, you moron. It's matte with shimmer particles in it. I don't know how I feel about mattes with shimmer particles in them. I kind of find them a bit redundant. No, is that redundant the right word? I just don't know if I've ever come across a matte with shimmer particles in. I've been, oh yeah, that's a nice matte with some shimmers in it. I feel like they either should have just made it a matte or made it a shimmer. I don't know why they've made it matte and put some sparkly shades in it. I've used Botanical more, but this is already looking pretty battered. I should probably zoom you back out. When you look at the shimmer shades, I mean, look at Crescent. You'd think I'd been hammering Crescent. Are you focusing, camera? I don't know. Should I put my glasses back on? I'll put my glasses back on, I can't see. Don't get me wrong, I have gravitated towards Crescent a lot. But, I mean, that looks like I've been hammering that shade. And it's because of that putty-like formula. I still can't get on with... I'll zoom you back out while I'm on my rant. So I know, like, a few of you, when I mentioned I hadn't really been getting on with this, and I wasn't convinced when I did my first impressions of this Celestial Charms. And that's because of the shimmers. I took this palette away with me and it became my... and that was my everyday palette while I was on a work trip. So I created 2 looks back then and I've created this look today. I'll start with this look. So what I found when I put Crescent on my eyelids, I used my finger and at first it wasn't sticking. So then I went in again and then it kind of dumped a whole load of the shimmer on it and it was really kind of crepey and it over accentuated the wrinkles of my eyelids. It even added more. So then I had to go in with a flat brush and really shear it down so that the texture went away. But that's not the case with all of the shimmers. So Galaxy, for example, I used that on one occasion and I really like Galaxy. And I also like Astral. Comet I still think lacks oomph. And then Crescent and Stardust, like, while I like the colours, I mean, once I got it to work and I sheared it out, like, that's Crescent with Orb in the inner corner. So I tend to gravitate towards using Orb in my inner corner. I really like that. So once I had sheared it out, like, it works. And I really like how this has turned out. But I feel like you've just got to put in that extra elbow grease with this palette to really finesse a look, which I didn't experience when I used Botanicals. It was just much smoother. It was very effortless. You just go in, create a look, blend it out and you're done. And the other thing, and I think I did mention that, like Lyra and Equinox, no need whatsoever for both of these to be in the palette. I think on the camera you can see an ever so slight difference, but I'm sorry, on your eyelids, you can't see the difference. You've got Zodiac and Astral. They make a really good, like, combination on the lid. Here is the footage from the 2 looks that I did. Okay, just a quick video before I wash my makeup off, and please excuse how tired I look. If I look tired, it's because I am tired. I have had this makeup on since about 7 o'clock this morning and it's now 8 p.m, past 8 p.m. But I'll just close my eyes, but there's zero creasing, so I'm very impressed with how well this eyeshadow has held up, to be honest. Ignore my lips, ignore that, don't look at my lips. I will put down what shades I used. I think off the top of my head the main shimmer shade here is Galaxy. I'm going to say that's what I've used, and this is quite pretty, and I got complimented on my eye makeup today. So good longevity, and I do quite like this look, I have to say. Just to show you there. A little bit of fallout, but not too much. Not too much. For the new shades that I've tried, I've actually quite liked those. So just showing you one look that I've created reusing the, I was about to call it the Botanical palette. It's not the Botanical palette, it's the Celestial Charms palette. Okay, checking in after another long day. I think I've had this makeup on for, I can't do maths. It's 12 hours, because I put this on at 7 and it's now 7. So this is 12 hours of wear. Just close my eyes so you can see. I make that 0 to minimal creasing. If I get a little bit closer, maybe some, no, I don't think there's any creasing. I think that's pretty good. So these are the green shades with, I'll have to check what gold shade that is, and then I've actually got an Hourglass powder as my inner corner highlight here. It's really odd because these are the, I'm really tired. If I'm repeating myself, I apologise. But this is the green matte and the green shimmer. But throughout the day, it looked very blue. So I asked my colleagues what colour they thought my eyeshadow was. And one of them instantly said, oh, it's blue. And another one said, oh, it's blue. And then I turned away and I go, wait. Oh, no, wait, it's green. It's green. So yeah, it's a very interesting shade, both those shades in the palette, because they appear green in the palette, but they've got like a tealiness to them. So in some lights, and depending which way you look, they appear green. Did I just say they appear green? If I said green, I meant blue. Sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks green. And I've got to say, I mean, I actually really like these shades, and I love the way that they're sometimes blue, sometimes green. But if you're after a green shade, for example, and you don't like blue, you might not like this shade. Just as a warning. But I've got to give it to them from the longevity. And of course, Jem at the time did not have the sense to write down the shades that I used, but I'm going to, from the looks I've created and looking at the pans, I'm going to hazard a guess as to the shades I've used. I've got a fair idea because I kind of talk about it. So those two looks, funnily enough, that I did while I was away, I did really like, but I feel like a lot of the shimmer shades in here are lacking, like the ones that are more putty-like. So I do like Astral and Galaxy because I feel like they lean more towards the shimmer shades I'm used to from Beauty Bay, and I think Cosmos as well. Crescent and Comet and also Stardust are the more putty-like texture. You can get some beautiful looks out of this. You can, but as I say, to get there, some of these shades just need finessing. If I'm going to choose one over the other, I think I probably prefer the Colour Story and Celestial Charms ever so slightly more. I do wish that they would take out one or maybe even two of those purples, because I love a purple, but that's a lot of purple in there. So maybe switch out two of those, and Colour Story wise, it's up there. But the formula in Botanical is superior, in my opinion. If you're fond of the putty formulations, you may get on with Celestial Charms better than I've done. For ease of use, Botanical. For Colour Story, I'd say Celestial Charms just edge. Let me have a look at them both again, actually. I'm opening them up in front of me. I don't know, it's close, you know, now that I've got them open. I would use more shades in Celestial Charms than I would use in Botanical. My battery died just as I was trying to decide whether I prefer the Colour Story in Celestial Charms or, what's the other one, or Botanical. But guess who's got 2 thumbs and 2 batteries now? Yes, Colour Story wise, probably Celestial Charms, but I'll probably gravitate more towards Botanical because I just feel more comfortable using the shades in there. I think that's where I'm landing. Oh, I've done Beauty Bay, but I haven't actually done Mini Charms. I'm not going to dwell on this too long though, because I don't think my opinion of that has changed. I think that's probably the better angle. I'm trying to get that's not a bad angle. Yeah, It's a tenner. It's all special shades. They're beautiful. Highly recommend that. Yeah, no words. My opinion hasn't changed. It was high to begin with, and it is still high now. Next, we have got the New Zealand Stargazing palette, which, as a colour story, it's just stunning, really. It's just a beautiful colour story, and I've really enjoyed the formula as well. Like, indie brands in general are just killing it with their formulas. I can't believe it's taken me starting a YouTube channel to really do a deep dive into indie brands and the formulas. I know that, I'm trying to think who it was, when I'd asked about content that you want to see, you were talking about, someone mentioned talking about formulas. And I guess it's a little bit subjective to an extent, because some people would appreciate certain qualities in a formula than someone else. Like, I'm not keen on that putty formula that's in Celestial Charms, but people might love that putty-like formula. So I'm thinking about this. So I've just shoved my finger in Carina Nebula. So where else can I swatch that? And that's a dew. Is that what that's shifty, and that's buttery without being like a putty. Southern Cross, that's definitely. Oh, see that again? That's smooth. I mean, look at that. There's something satisfying about a shimmer shade that's smooth and buttery, but without having that putty-like formula. I mean, while I'm here, I might as well Jewel Box. That's ever so slightly drier, but still quite smooth. Where can I put that one? Let's do that there. Majorly impressed with that. Love the colour story, love the formula. Looking forward to playing with that some more. I just think that this one is stunning. It's cohesive, it makes sense, it's on theme. Machina Blend Bunny. This I've been reaching for quite a lot, actually. I'm very delicate with my palettes. They don't look as if I touch them, but I do, honestly. I took this away for my friend's wedding, and I took this somewhere else. Where else did I take this? I can't remember now. But I really enjoy this. I think, I mean, it's definitely too early to do a what do I think with Divination. I literally only just got it. But I was thinking, I think I had in mind a slightly more, not that Divination isn't curated, but I thought it would be potentially more like this. Oop. More like these kinds of gradients. I mean, not red. This, I mean, Robert wouldn't have that. Yeah, like maybe if, I mean, obviously Robert was not going to release a palette that was Machina without the red row, but I think part of me almost thought that Robert's palette would be a bit more like this. And I guess it's, in a way, it's not far off. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's just concentrate on Machina. I really like this. I like that you can, I see that split. I understand the story of this is like the human side and this is the kind of AI robot side. The tones are very, very different. I like the versatility in this palette. I like that you can go girly and feminine and airy, and I love that you can go grungy with one palette. I haven't tried mixing the sides. I don't know how well mixing the sides would go. I think the blue column, you could get away with mixing with these three columns a bit more, but I think it might get a bit hairy if you tried to incorporate one of these two rows with these two. Maybe I'll give that a go at some point. I really like Machina. I don't know if it's available anymore, at least not on the Blend Bunny website. If you're in the UK, you can go to the Glisten website and it's still available to pick up there. And because it was discounted for a long time on the Blend Bunny website. I know it's also discounted on Glisten. If your order is £50 or more, you can use the code SAVE25 for 25% off. And if it's not, I'll put, so my friend's code is just a makeup dude. If your order is not over £50, that will get you 20% off. So we're going to move on to the Made by Mitchell lippies. So we're going to step away from the eyeshadow palettes for a moment. I think I mentioned these very briefly. I did quite a short video on these. Unsurprisingly, I think I mentioned in the video that Rolling would probably be my most used shade. I've got that on right now. They are quite light. They are probably lighter than I prefer, but with a liner, they work. So that's Rolling on the end there, and that's the one I definitely use the most. But that's not to say that I think probably my next favourite is Missing You, and then the favourite. They look matte, but without giving you that dryness. You know, sometimes you put on a matte lipstick and then it's like, it's like the Sahara. It sucks every ounce of moisture from your lips, and by the end of the day you've got like these weird butthole lips. They're not like that. So I think I questioned why they were called Mattitude in my last video, and I think it's simply because it gives you a matte look but without being super drying. Touch light, but bit of lip liner. All good. All good. I wouldn't buy any more just because these are the 3 deepest shades in the range. So, and I already think these are quite light for me. So yeah, I wouldn't buy any more. It would be nice to see them come out with more shades and deeper shades too. So I mean, a deeper brown. If they came out with a deeper brown, maybe something like Persistence or a hair darker, I'd be all over that. All over it. So yeah, I do like those, and they're relatively inexpensive. And TikTok shop. Mitchell has always got some kind of sale, either on the TikTok shop or Beauty Bay are forever discounting his stuff. I think even just this week they had 30% off. The NYX Buttermelt blushes. I love these. They smell delightful. They're cheap and cheerful. If you go to Superdrug, invariably they'll have some kind of discount on them. Which one am I putting on my face all the time? I think it's Back and Butter that I'm putting on my face pretty much all the time. Funnily enough, not today, but that's because I used my curve case today. No, it's Butter Than Before. That's the one I've been going into constantly. So invariably when I'm filming, this is the one I tend to lean towards. Back and Butter, that kind of reminds me a little bit of Paradise Venus from Pat McGrath, but maybe a bit more red in this. I'm gonna have to compare them. I've not reached for this one as much, but then I think that's more because the summer months are gone. I think I'll reach for this a bit more once summer comes back around. This is the orange. I mean, look at that pigment. Oh, my current on-screen go-to, Butter Than Before. Yeah, see, that's beautiful. That's like a raspberry shade. Does it even say raspberry on it? Yeah, deep raspberry. Ooh, go me. Back and Butter, which is a deep rosewood. Oh yeah, it's a bit more red. Oh, I might have to put this into the rotation when I want something a bit redder. And then I also picked up, because I enjoyed that formula so much, or maybe it's one of these that I think that remind me of Paradise Venus. I think it's one of these because that's very red. That was redder than I thought. But I picked up the 2 deepest bronzers. Here they are, because they would make very nice nudie blushes too. This is number 7, Butter Days, the penultimate one. I'm running out of space on my face. I have used it as a blush, but I can't actually remember what it looks like. But just, this is more commenting on the formula, I guess, than the shades per se. But the formula, I love it. Oh, that's nice. I think these would too red as an actual bronzer, but as a blush, really pretty. Have I mentioned how good they smell as well? They smell good. They just really, really do. What is next? What is next? Artitude Cosmetics. These guys are fully new to me. Well, I'd heard of Artitude, and they had the Man-Eater palette. That was, I think, the first one I'd heard of. And I'd heard of them because Jamie Trini had reviewed that palette and she rated it. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, oh, I kind of want that palette. I kind of want that palette. And I didn't pull the trigger. And obviously, it's now sold out. I think it's coming back though. I think I asked, like, Rooks had either like an ask me a question or she posted something. And I commented about how I'd missed out on Man-Eater, and that's one of the palettes I was eyeing up, and she said it was coming back next year, so fingers crossed. But that is delightful to look at. I think it's another palette that's got a beautiful, cohesive colour story. And I'm saying about, do you know, I know this is a what do I think now and not a shop or drop, but Adept have just revealed this new palette, and I've got the shimmers in it look beautiful, but I don't get the mattes. What are the mattes in there? There's like a bright green, a bright red, a grey. I don't understand it. This to me is a colour story. This is, I get it. The colours in here together make sense. The colours in this Adept palette, it's as if someone walked around the office and said, what's your favourite colour? And everyone said what their favourite colour was, and then they just whacked it in a palette or something. I mean, I don't know whose favourite colour would be that shade. Après la vie? Because that just, I mean, what kind of shade is that? I mean, maybe even if you took that out. I don't get it. There is a lot to be said about a nice, pleasing, cohesive and coherent colour story, and Metamorph has that. Even just the details when you think like the packaging and how that translates into what's inside. Right, I don't think they are going to be similar, but I saw Oracle and I wondered how similar to Butterfly from Artitude it would be. What have I done? Just gouged. Can you see that? Look what I've done to that shade. Oh, how have I managed that? I've now got purple all over me where I've gouged Gemini and 8-Ball. Oh, another right mess. Alright, well, anyway, let's not cry over scraped shadow. That's the shade from Metamorph, Butterfly, and there's Oracle. I just, out of curiosity, let's swatch them next to each other and see how they are different or similar. Butterfly is more vibrant. It's possibly more blue. Butterfly. Oracle. I mean, you can kind of see why when I saw when I saw Oracle, I wondered how close it would be to Butterfly, but Butterfly is deeper. They're both beautiful. Similar. Butterfly's got more depth. And Oracle's just got this glow. Like, still, it's just got this glow. I want to try more from Artitude because I can't comment on the formula yet because I've only tried Metamorph. Sorry, I'm distracted now because I've got purple eyeshadow everywhere from gouging those shadows. Very much enjoyed the formula in here. It's interesting that I've kind of brought it out to compare a couple of the shades in, well, just one shade in Divination, because one thing I really liked about Metamorph is something I also really like about Divination, and that's the fact that the really light shades like Flutter and Flight show up as the colours they're meant to be on my lids. They don't wash away. Definitely looking to try more from Artitude. I know that there is more coming. Rooks has set up a what are they called? Broadcast channel, I think they're called, on Instagram. So she's kind of showing a few sneak peeks and whatnot in there. So that's worth joining. if you're on Instagram. And then last but by no means least of the things that I have tried, and I clearly want to play with this a lot more. Last but by no means least, Lightwork 6. I mean, just look at that. Let's do that middle row. If I go across, it's going to be higher, gleaming, fluid, euphoria, joy and rejoice. Oh. I'm just going across to kind of showcase. See, they look quite similar. I think I commented on that originally. And this blue, which in that looks purple there. That's just beautiful. And this shade, oh, those are quite similar actually. I never clocked that before. Oh, but the shift is, oh yeah, the shift is different. And that's what does it. I mean, I've done that video where I've compared Lightworks 5 and 6 for anyone who's wondering if it's worth getting both. That one feels like silk, that one. Ooh! And that one I used recently with Metropolis because I wanted more of a punchy orange. This is just so fun to play with. Like I have just sat there and just... I'm a bit nervous that I'm going to use up the palette just from swatching it, so I have to be careful to just not go a bit bonkers just sitting here swatching the palette. I think my only criticism is, like, someone asked me which one should I get. There's a formula in 5 that I'm not too keen on. It's a bit flaky, a bit chunky, and I don't like that very much. Everything in 6 is smooth. Everything in this palette is smooth. But I would say 5 has got more variety to it. I mean, you can even see it here. Those two, they are similar. The shift, it's always going to be in the shift that you're going to see the difference. Even when I compared 5 and 6 together, shades that looked similar are different when you see the shifts in them. But on the whole, 5 has got more variety, but I prefer the formulas in 6 and the packaging of 6. I'm not overly keen on that split pan thing that's going on in 5. It's kind of aesthetically pleasing to look at, but you've got to be careful sometimes to make sure you don't contaminate the shades. This is just... I mean, look at it. Look at it. I just don't know if this is being done any justice. The innovation, I mean, my opinion hasn't changed. The innovation, the beautifulness, the packaging, I will never get over this packaging. That's another thing I find myself doing, just going in there and just stacking them, just for no other reason than because I can. And I've reached for this mirror. This mirror's quite handy as well, just to kind of pick up. Like, I'll never get over that. That's just so cool. I'm getting shadow all over the place. You know, if these are your favourite 6, you can just take that. You can mix and match. Danessa killed it with this. She really did. She knocked it out of the park. I know that amount of money is a lot up front, 100%. But when you think about how much individual special shades like this cost, and the fact that you can get it for, I want to say around the 118 mark, and this is what, 18 shades? I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad. And there we have it. That is my most up-to-date what do I think now. I don't think my opinions have changed too much from the first impressions that I had. I've been generally thoroughly impressed with everything that I've tried. As I say, I think the only thing that hasn't stood out for me or performed in the way that I would like it to is that Beauty Bay palette. and I don't know, they get a bit of leniency because it was £16, but at the same time, just because you're only £16, you've set a bar for yourself, Beauty Bay. So be consistent with it. The formula in the Beauty Bay palettes is exceptional for the price point. So I think you notice it when they deliver something that's subpar. And not that I should necessarily give them a pass because the price point is so low, but I do think it's kind of worth bearing in mind so that in the future when there's a potential dud, that might be why. And I don't know, maybe they focused most of the budget on this little guy. Maybe that's where the attention went, because this is beautiful. This is beautiful. And I'll be very intrigued to know if Beauty Bay go down this route of smaller palettes like this again, or if this is a one-off. I've had fun swatching stuff, just giving you a bit of a taste of some of the shades that I've been playing with over the last few months. I hope you found that useful. Maybe Black Friday is around the corner, so if there's anything here that you've been eyeing up, I'm trying to think if there's anything. What can you not get anymore? If you're in the US, you might struggle getting Machina. Botanical you can't get anymore. Celestial Charms, if you want that, and the mini charms, you probably have to act quite quickly because it's a limited edition. It might not be around forever. But if any of these things that I've mentioned in my video should go on sale, I'd say they're worth getting. I would. I think Celestial Charms is probably the only thing where, if I knew then what I now know about Celestial Charms, I don't know if I would necessarily have picked it up. But then having said that, I'm a bit of a collectionist now, so it's highly likely that I'll probably end up picking all of the limited edition palettes that Beauty Bay produce, because collectionist. And I mean, as I said, I'm now going back and trying to collect the ones I've missed. I will stop soon, I will. But look what I managed to find! Haha! And it's untouched. I'm super pleased with that. And no, I did not pay over the odds, because some of these are going for an absolute fortune. So I'm very impressed that I managed to find that and nab it for the price that I did get it for. I hope you found that useful. I hope that's potentially helped with your Black Friday shopping list. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch, and hopefully I'll see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye!